Hello and welcome. This is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Huh? It's a house!
Did you hear what I said? Come on, man. What's wrong with you? You know, that's just one step above stupid. 5 brain cells, 4 aren't working. There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
Well, I guess the other audio doesn't work. Yeah, every once in a while it turns off somehow. Who the hell knows? But there you go. There you go. There you go. What's going on, freaks? Well, if you're not watching the Karen Reed trial or anything like that, there's other information going on. The autopsy results came back for Suzanne Morphew, and by God, she was killed with drugs that are commonly found in a tranquilizer. Boy, if my memory serves me correct, wasn't that one of the items that was found at the Morphew residence? He said he would shoot squirrels with it or something. Yeah, I think there's going to be some problems coming up for good old Barry Morphew. Yeah. I remember how she was found over here in this town. I think we actually, I can't remember where I actually put it. It was like right around in this area somewhere. She was found way down in this crazy little town over here. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, actually, I don't think that was the one. That was a different case, but right around in this area is where her body was found, and they did an autopsy. All right, so let's just get this article out here. Yeah, I can't see anything. Oh, StreamYards. Okay, that goes over here. Whew, wow. Oh, she's been officially ruled a homicide. You know, there's probably going to be a grand jury here, right? You guys can't hear anything? Oh, it's kind of quiet, isn't it? It's pretty low. Let me see if I can figure out the, oops, that's not what I want to do. Let me get the audio. And by the way, the trolls are at it again, you guys. The trolls out. Remember the other night when right at the end of the show, Ginger called in and I said, she was like, "Hey, can we share it and share it?" And I go, "Share it with who?" And I was saying that, like, share it with who? Like, we just started covering Jonathan David's case, and we, Clark's case, And so somebody just took that clip, and then she said, "How well, like David Scott Morgan, Joseph Scott Morgan," and I was like, "Yeah, well, why would we, like share it to now?" And then later I said, "Well, yeah, once we get the case figured out, I'll have these people on and everything like that, but I don't even know what's going on right then, right?" But a troll, obviously, they take the little clip and they put it out there, and one of the bigger creators made a short, used it as a short because they're just like the rest of me. They don't care about the context or factual information. They just like to create drama. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, don't you remember that, the tranquilizer? It just seems like now if they can find any way, because he admitted that he shot tranquilizers. 86's fault or anything like that. She feels bad, but it's not her fault. But the trolls, they just take shit out of context, and then unscrupulous YouTubers will just use it for unknown reasons. Nobody knows why. Pretty sick, really. Her was found. The remains too. What? What do you mean? Her was found. Man, I can't understand that one. So, oh yeah, so that's what they're saying. Listen, here we go. Jeez. I still don't know what that means, Whiskey Boots. I've picked line. What? Yeah, so as the search for answers continue in how a Colorado mother died, the autopsy for Suzanne Morphew has been completed. Morphew, who was living in Salida area, was reported missing on May 10th, 2020, Mother's Day. Her body was found during a search in September of 2023 in Sasquatch County. At one point, Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry, was a suspect. I'm sure he's going to be looked at heavily again since he was using he said he used these tranquilizer darts. And if they can show that he had those chemicals somehow, I mean, come on, you guys. Huh? I don't know what that means. Let's see. Heard her was with remains too for her pick line. Oh, her her IV. Man, you guys know the girl code. That's amazing. I get it now. Her IV. It says her IV was found. But yeah, her IV was found with remains too. Oh wow. That's crazy. Yeah. I think that was in this other report that I saw out there. I figured it out, man. Well, it took me, I had to decipher it through your guys' decoding, though. So thank you guys very much. Let's see. Morphew, who was living in Salida area, was reported missing on May 20th, 2020, Mother's Day. Her body was found during a search in September of 2023 in Sasquatch County. And I don't care if it's pronounced something differently. At one point, Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry, was a suspect in the case, but charges were eventually dropped. Since she was reported missing, her family and members of the community have been searching for answers. And you know how tranquilizers, it shoots into the skin, right? Of course, you can't tell exactly, where it hit or anything like that. But I guess they were able to determine that those drugs were somehow, I don't know how they were able to do that. I mean, that long later, how can you tell? Is it in the hair, or where would they find that? Thanks, K-Me. Warning, details of the autopsy can be hard to read. KKTV 11 News choosing to share this document with the public to be transparent about case that has gained national attention. So do they actually have the link in it? Oh, I guess it's right there. Lawyers representing Barry said, for the past 4 years, the Morphews have agonized over Suzanne's disappearance. This included not only the pain of the loss of their wife and mother, but also, I mean, it really feels like the kids are so naive in this one, or just choosing to willfully, despite the fact that unknown male DNA was found in Suzanne's car where her bike was parked on her bike grips, handlebars, and bike seat. The authorities will not tell the Morphew family whether Suzanne's bike clothes collected 7 months ago with the remains have been tested for DNA. Thanks, Wendy Van Rokel. Wait, what happened up there? Oh, wow, look at that. Well, thank you, Annie T. Gifted 10 memberships. Who in the heck got those? Let's see. We've got M. Nance, Girl Next Door, Keeping It Real, Alley Cat, Martina Davis, Loba, Tracy, Steph, Angela Evington. Okay, and I also, to piggyback on what I was saying a minute ago about how the trolls took that comment out of context, my appearance on Web Sleuths supporting the idea of not trashing the Proudfoots. Apparently that means we're good buddies and I'm being paid by them and everything. That's I've already lost net 20 something subs. I mean, it's not a huge number, but it just shows you. And then now the trolls are starting to piggyback on that to try to create momentum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think my take on that was absolutely rational and true. So even if it turns out later on that their Proudfoots had something to do with something, it's still accurate. There is nothing now. They shouldn't be treated the way they're being treated. Do you guys agree with that? Come on, you guys. So you can just count on a lot more trolls and a lot more hate. People are absolutely irrational. And by the way, breaking news right here. I'll tell you guys. Listen to this. Listen to this. You probably didn't know this, but Sebastian was diagnosed as being autistic in October of 2022. And the spanking with the belt happened before that. So what does that mean to you? Does that still mean, oh my God, he spanked a child that had a disability? That should absolutely change your opinion on those people that, he abused a kid that had, he didn't, nobody knew, right? He wasn't diagnosed until August of 2022. Does that matter? Does anybody? What do you mean, so what? What does that mean? Everybody keeps saying it's because he's autistic, he shouldn't have been spanked. You sound like a moron. But swat, too. And swatting somebody with a belt is not child abuse, okay? We had it. All of us had it happen to us. I guarantee you, Truth Sleuth got spanked with a belt at one point. I guarantee you, Whiskey Boots. Oh, come on, wooden spoon all day long, right? You know it. He did not beat her. So listen, it's people like Need Some ZZZs or that cause a lot of the ridiculous behavior of people in the true crime community. All right. All right. That should matter to the people. There's two sets of people. One, oh, it's child abuse. Two, it was he abused somebody that had a mental condition. He should have known not to. Well, they didn't know. Okay. He wasn't diagnosed till October of 2022. All right. Who said it made it right, Allison? Who said it made it right, Allison? I'm just telling you that people spank people with belts all the damn time. And it was okay. It's only because of weak people today who make it into this big thing like you. One spank with a freaking belt to a kid that wasn't even known to be autistic. Do you understand how there's a difference there to those people who use that? Right. Eugenie was perfect. She was one that, there was a halo floating around her head all the time. Yeah, you get it, right? These people's brains don't work correctly. And it's true. It's not like an opinion or anything like that. It's absolute fact that I'm actually offended. I think we should start a campaign. Aren't you offended that these people believe that your parents were child abusers because you were spanked? I bet every one of the people in here that was spanked by their parents with a belt absolutely loved their parents, thought they were great, and they believe they deserve to be spanked at those times, right? I'm offended by people out there telling us that our parents are child abusers. I mean, mine must have been a serial child abuser, right? Because I was spanked multiple times over the years. I mean, once, well, you know, that could be forgivable, but over and over the years, oh my God. Holy moly. You guys are a joke, right? Did you hear Gray? Gray said it was okay to beat a child. Nope, nobody said that, you whack job. I said everybody was spanked with wooden spoons or a belt, a switch, whatever the hell you want to call it, for years and years and years. And nowadays it's considered horrible. Oh my God. Jesus. Hey, thanks, Phony Pin. My mom enjoyed taking the wooden spoon or a hairbrush to a. Yeah, well, you don't know if she enjoyed it. Maybe she felt like she had to. I mean, if somebody's enjoying it, that's a little too much. But yeah. Yeah, well, I stand by my appearance on there. I'm proud of what I said. I said the right thing. Even if it turns out they're involved at some point in the future, I said the right thing. Law enforcement in that case has already stated that they've been cooperating since the beginning. They've done every single thing that they've been asked to do, and they can find no evidence of foul play. That should have been enough for the so-called sleuthy people on YouTube and social media to have given them the benefit of the doubt and listen to them and not jump on their asses every time they speak. Okay, it's incredible. And I don't have any feelings. I'm not like buddies with. We're friendly. I mean, like I send them an email or a message, and he'll answer it. You know, it's not like we, you know, hey, we're late up night. Hey, let me bounce this idea off you. I mean, you guys are lunatics. You imply greater connection to help your narratives out. Yeah, maybe you just enjoyed it. It's not good if somebody's enjoying spanking you. It's usually for, you know, to deter you from doing something, you know. Yeah, it's crazy. And man, wow. Anyways, I back everything that I've said. All right. Thank you very much. And hopefully you guys support what I said too. I think rational-minded people, when they heard me speak on that show and my follow-up, you know, live stream later, heard it. It makes sense. Even if you think there might be something there, it made sense, right? But a lot of people just can't do it. Their brains don't fire on all cylinders. All right, let's see what that says down here. Suzanne Morphew reported missing. Right here it said homicide by unspecified means, reported history of recovery of partial skeletal medical port. Oh, there it is. Medical port and clothing scattered in or around a shallow grave. Man, that must have been immediately let them know that was her. Positive dental identification at time of autopsy examination. Based upon the information provided to me at the time of this report, it is my opinion that Suzanne Morphew, a 52-year-old adult, white female, died as a result of homicide by unspecified means in the setting of butorphanol, butorphanol, there you go, azathioprine and medetomidine, whatever, you heard it earlier, okay? These drugs are marketed as a compounded injectable chemical immobilizer for wildlife. Isn't that amazing? Because he said he had the darts to shoot squirrels. You guys remember that? Who doesn't remember that part? that I think he's going to be arrested soon. I mean, this is like, are you kidding me? This is, their theory was verified here, and they have the body. Oh man, this is crazy. If more information becomes available, this report may be amended. All right. Anyways, there you go. So good news. I think this is a step closer. Yeah, on the location of her remains, right? I think it was like right over here. I don't remember exactly on the map where it was. It feels like it was like right around in this area. I mean, I had it mapped out. I even put a pin, but I don't seem to be able to see it currently. I must have put the pin in the wrong place. Or then there's another body that was found down there. But yeah, they were actually looking, I think, for a different body and stumbled upon Suzanne Morphew's, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. That's right. It was a tranquilizer cap in the wash. And their theory was that he kind of chased her around and shot her with the tranquilizer. Seems like a pretty good theory now, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. Right, the trees in the background. Yeah, I totally remember. It was like right somewhere around in this area. I'm just going to look. Yeah, it feels like it was like maybe down one of these. I don't know. I'm kind of. It was way more rural than that. It was kind of south. Maybe it's the other one. Yeah, I don't know that anymore. It's kind of missing. Don't know where it was. It was right around in this area somewhere, though. So, anyways, I'm going to switch over now to the Delphi docs. Maybe we'll have Fig Solves come join us in here in a minute. If he shows up in the chat. Okay, here we go. All right, check it out, you guys. Yep. I think a lot of people believed he was it wasn't a huge, like, oh, we figured it out and everybody else didn't figure something out. Let's see. All right, so it says on October 26, 2020, so right here it says, now comes the state of Indiana. This is kind of in the response. Remember the other documents that the defense just put out recently that want to throw out the October 26th interview with Jerry Holman? Because obviously there's something in that 2 hours, that 2-hour interrogation that they want thrown out. But they only put in the stuff, I didn't do it in that document they put out, right? So here's the response to it. So let's see if it implies anything. Let's see. In support of said motion, okay, now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McClellan and respectfully objects to the defendant's motion to suppress filed April 15, 2024, and would ask the court to deny the same. In support of said motion, the state would ask the court to consider the following. Hey, thanks Amy Moore and Bridget Bauman for gifting a membership. Who got it too? Who got it? Welcome to Sincerely Katie. There we go. And this one says, towards monthly goal. Thanks, Gray, for all you do. Well, thank you. And tomorrow is the last day of the month, so we'll see how that goes. I was hit as a kid. I still love my mom, but it was horrific. Due to that experience, I would never. Well, you must have been spanked in a way that you shouldn't have been spanked. It wasn't horrific for me. It would just hurt my butt. You know, if it's horrific, that means it was something overboard, you know. I don't think it's traumatic. I don't think it's traumatic for kids at all. I think it's like, oh man, that hurt. Okay, I'm not doing that again. You know, it's kind of just the way it's been for thousands and thousands of years, right? Anyways, that on October 26, 2022, Richard Allen came to the Indiana State Post in Lafayette to talk about the return of his vehicle, that he had been searched. He came to the post voluntarily under his own volition. Once he arrived at the police post, he was asked to speak with Lieutenant Jerry Holman. He was taken to an interview room where he was informed by Lieutenant Holman, who's now a lieutenant, he was sergeant back then, that he wished to speak with him about the results of the search of his home, but that he was free to leave at any time. The interview room consisted of 3 chairs and a desk. Lieutenant Holman was the only law enforcement officer present in the room. The doors were not locked, and for Richard Allen for Richard Allen to leave, he only had to exit the interview room, travel down a short hallway, and exit through a set of doors to the lobby. None of the doors were locked or required assistance to exit. Before Lieutenant Holman spoke to Richard Allen, he reminded Richard Allen that he had been advised of his rights back on October 13th, 2024, the last time he spoke with police. Richard Allen affirmed that he understood his rights and sat down to speak with Lieutenant Holman. The interview lasted approximately 60 minutes, during which time Richard Allen was given multiple breaks where Lieutenant Holman left the room, leaving Richard Allen unattended. At one specific break, Richard Allen left the interview room to use the restroom and go outside to smoke, and then, okay, they didn't put that in that. He could have left at any time. Smoke and then return to the interview room to continue the discussion with Lieutenant Holman. At no time during the interview did Richard Allen get up to leave, nor did he display signs of distress or undue influence. Richard Allen sat through the entire conversation with Lieutenant Holman and participated in the exchange even after saying he was done talking. That not all interviews by law enforcement are considered custodial interrogations. In order to be a custodial interrogation, the person's freedom of movement must be so curtailed that the person is under the same inherent coercive pressure as those at issue in the Miranda versus Arizona, meaning that the restriction of movement is at a level akin to an arrest. So he wasn't. He was allowed to go outside. He smoked a cigarette, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it sucks that some parents actually, I'm reading up in there, like they get a sense of like it's cathartic to spank somebody because their kid was bad. That's not a good, you shouldn't be spanking for that reason. Spanking, most parents spank because their kids did something that needs to be corrected, and for some reason, after being told 1,000 times to not do something, they don't do it. So maybe a physical, stinging of the butt, or like, ow, holy shit, maybe make you not do that again. It's kind of like a last resort type of thing, and not really. It doesn't have to be a last resort either. It could just be like, the kid knows they're not supposed to do something, they do it anyways, and they get spanked, right? I don't know if Richard Allen could be a serial killer or not. I think he might have turned into one, but I don't think he is. Anyways, they're saying that he could have left at any time. He did say stuff like "hold tight" and things like that, but that doesn't mean shit. The determination is based on a totality of objective circumstances, and there is no bright line rules. Simply because a person is questioned in a police station does not mean that the interview is a custodial interrogation. Miranda warnings are required only in those situations where the encounter is a custodial interrogation. If the interview is custodial in nature, then the court must determine whether or not the confession was voluntary. So are they saying here that he confessed in this custodial interview with Holman? The admissibility of a confession is controlled by determining from the totality of the circumstances whether the confession was made voluntarily and was not induced by violent threats or other improper influences that overcame the defendant's free will. Factors that the court can consider when determining voluntariness include whether or not there was police coercion, the length of the interview, location, and continuity of the interrogation, along with defendant's maturity, education, physical condition, and mental health. The critical inquiry is whether the defendant's statements were induced by violence, threats. So wasn't that interesting, though? So it does sort of imply that in that interrogation he confessed, right? Because they're talking about as Fig Sauls was telling me earlier, they're talking about the October 26th, 2022 interview, and they're saying, was the confession voluntary? I mean, I think that's pretty interesting, you guys. You got to admit. Hey, are you out there, Fig Sauls? I can get the link. I'll put it in the chat here. You can just click on it. There you go. The critical inquiry is whether the defendant's statement was induced by violence, threats, promises, or other improper influence. Let's see. Okay. You can feel free to eat on here too. I don't care. A confession is voluntary if, considering the totality of the circumstances, the confession is the product of a rational intellect and not the result of physical abuse, psychological intimidation, or deceptive interrogation tactics that have overcome the defendant's free will. In addition, it does not matter if the statement of the defendant was true or false. What matters is only whether the statement was the result of coercive government influence. 5, the fact that there was police deception or the fact that part of the interview is not recorded does not render the statement inadmissible. The Indiana Supreme Court has held that police deception does not automatically render a confession inadmissible. Further, in Andrade versus State, the court determined that an advisement of rights is not part of the interrogation and need not be part of the recording. Oh, well, there you go, everybody. It doesn't even have to be recorded, nor does it need to be part of the interrogation. That's pretty interesting. Let's see, number 6 is that first, the state does not believe that the interview by Lieutenant Holman and the Indiana State Police Post was a custodial interrogation that required Miranda advisement of rights. Richard Allen arrived in his own vehicle in the company of his wife at the post. He voluntarily sat down with Lieutenant Holman to discuss the findings of the search warrant. He was advised that he was free to leave at any time. The location of the interview occurred in an office space that contained 3 chairs and a desk, with Lieutenant Holman seated at the desk with his back to the door and Richard Allen seated next to the desk. Richard Allen entered the interview room by going through one door from the lobby and a second door down a short hallway into the interview room. The door was closed during the interview, but was not locked. Lieutenant Holman asked Richard Allen if he remembered his Miranda rights, and other detectives had read him 13 days prior. So on the 13th is when they originally went to his house. And Allen said, yes, Lieutenant Holman documented this advisement, and it was also observed by Indiana State Police Detective Dave Vito. The interview was approximately 60 minutes long, in which time Richard Allen was given multiple breaks where Lieutenant Holman left the room, leaving Richard Allen unattended. During one break, both Lieutenant Holman and Richard Allen left the room for Allen to use the restroom and go outside to smoke. Not once during the interview did Richard Allen get up to leave the room, nor did he display signs of distress, undue influence, or express a desire to leave the room. Richard Allen continued to sit and participate in the exchange, even saying he was done talking. Anyways, let me get Fig Sol's in there. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, just checking it out. I think it does kind of seem like it's related to the October 26th interview. I mean, that's what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, if it is a document that is in response to the one, I think it was dated the 15th, and on the 15th, the one that was released then was talking about the second statement, which is the second interview covering.
Yeah.
So, why bring up confessions unless there's a legal reason to, where it sounds like there is, because the defense is bringing that up.
Yeah, well, we were saying after that first the document the defense put out that there must be something so damning in there, because boy, what they put out was, Richard Allen's just, denying, and mean old Sergeant Holman over there, like he didn't do anything, I mean,
yeah, I think I said it when I called in on your show, just because there's that other document where I mentioned I never knew that Rick Allen confessed to Indiana State police officers.
Yeah, that was interesting. So maybe that was to him, right?
Right. So then you figure, the defense job is to protect their client, and they're going through getting rid of all confessions. It's like someone's on confession, duty to get them all taken care of or thrown out. And so then during that time period comes the second interview on October 26th. And if he confessed to Indiana State police officers, that's probably the time it happened, because like you were saying, he's sharing evidence with them like, hey, we have this on you, we have this. And we're only, it's filtered to us. We're only seeing the parts the defense wants us to see. So all the good stuff is left out. So,
well, they didn't even show all that even. I mean, they showed, that was like, I mean, that couldn't have taken more than 3 minutes of the hour in what they shared, it was just nothing. So it feels like there was something really damning in the interview for them to even give a damn. So now it is sort of looking like, I wonder if he said something like, okay, well, I was the guy on the bridge, but I didn't, I just, maybe he got to that point. And then once you say that, you're toast, right? Because that's the guy that had him go down the hill, etc. He kidnapped him at the very least.
Yeah, I think he could have said something like that. And also what's interesting is looking at the timeline. Yeah, I put stuff in timelines, so it helps me understand things better. But they got the ballistics test results back on October 19th. So they didn't arrest him until October 26th. So if the bullet was this big old magical thing that's just going to take down Rick Allen, then why did they wait a whole week after they got the results back that showed that it matched? Why still wait 7 days? Why not arrest them on the 19th when you get the results back? I think they're waiting for more analysis to come back.
Yeah. It could be phone data or stuff like that, but it could also be because the way it sounds like Holman was in there, he really wanted to try to get a confession on the 26th. So they were probably like, okay, we got this, but man, we just need a little bit more. And maybe in that interrogation, he ended up giving them just that piece of information. And then it's like, boom, it could be that there was other stuff between the 19th and the 26th that, even made it more solidifying. Because I don't know, wouldn't they just arrest him instead of having that last interrogation to try to get him to say something if it was so clear?
I think they want both, because if they already have stuff on you before they do that interrogation. That way they could tell if you're lying, because almost what you lie about is almost as damning about as a confession, right? If they could show evidence that you are lying, like, why are you lying about this? Here, we do have this information that shows you're lying here. So it looks really bad for him.
Yeah. What do you think? The judge has to rule on these things, right? These documents.
Right. Yeah. I think that one should be fine, because you don't have to read Miranda rights. And in there, he does acknowledge that his rights were read. Even the defense put this in there, that Rick Allen acknowledged that his Miranda rights were read. He remembers them being read. There's nothing in the law that says you have to record reading someone their Miranda rights to make it valid.
I think I got this guy's. He's or whoever this is right here is the same person that says, I think it's Ron Logan's not your bish. Now they have a different name. Stay pressed, Delulu Bishes. So I'm figuring that's the same person. I don't know. But anyways, what else did it say down in these other points? Anything big in there? Just more supporting documents or sightings. I guess.
Did you get to that second one yet?
No, I'm not. I'm just about to open that one up.
Okay.
Yeah. So right, it's right down in here where, right, this portion. So I guess let me just see what this one is. Now comes the state of Indiana prosecuting attorney Nicholas McClellan and respectively request that the court enter an order required the defendant or his counsels to refrain from mentioning in the presence of the jury during jury selection, which is voir dire, opening argument, presentation. All right, so they're saying they don't want the names of these people mentioned during voir dire, opening argument, presentation of evidence, and closing argument, and all references to the following either directly or indirectly. Any comments about counsel for the state, any comment with which constitutes the personal opinion of defense counsel about any evidence, any innuendo or inference that is not supported by admissible evidence, any attempt to indoctrinate the jury during voir dire by exposing the jury to substantive issues in the case. I can almost never say that word for some reason. Any attempt during voir dire to have the jury prejudge the credibility of a witness, any hypothetical questions that include facts that are not in evidence or questions, any attempt to introduce evidence of a third-party motive that is not relevant and or probative value is overweighted by unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or has the potential to mislead the jury. And they cite various cases. And that's right here, right? Like these are the things that they don't want the judge to allow these things right here. Odinism, cult or ritualistic killing, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, Ned Smith, not really sure who that is, Rod Abrams, Keegan Kline, Jerry Klein, and Ron Logan. So I told you guys a long time ago that I was told by somebody that actually knows the answer that Keegan Kline, they could not find a connection between Keegan Kline and Richard Allen. It's still hard to believe, yet that's the reality, and the defense could find nothing either. And so here you have his name and Ron Logan. All right, so I mean, it would be amazing if the prosecution throws this out. That whole Odin theory's out the window, right? I mean, it's just kind of.
And really, I think what the state is doing is they're protecting the general public, everyone, right? Because what if the defense attorney said Gray Hughes is responsible, and we're going to subpoena Gray Hughes? You can't just say whatever you want. You need evidence. So these things need to. Any of these names mentioned.
But you can be sure that they'll clip what you just said and say,
I know, of course,
is responsible.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They can't just say anyone and then uproot someone's life and have them come and be a part of this. And
kind of like you, like a little bit like how you were
exactly
in there for a little bit, right? It's so stupid. But
you're not supposed to do that.
So don't you think that the prosecution or the investigators looked into the Odin thing and just went, yeah, even though there's those couple officers that seemed like they were still into it, they must have dug in and went, yeah, it just doesn't really fit what the evidence is showing, something like that.
Right. And we saw in the other documents, 2019, they used that Axum. So they had phone data. They swabbed Elvis Fields. I think there is a DNA component based on a caller that you had a few years ago who said they probably have limited markers, and that means that you
5 or 6. Yeah.
Right. So you could rule people out with that. So I think the Odinist people on here, the alleged Odinists, have been ruled out in some way or form.
Wouldn't it be amazing if the DNA markers they do have include him though? Like even if it's just
Oh,
5,
that'd be
because if it was just 5, let's just say it was 5, but it still
right.
works like this. So one marker might be 1 in 10 have that. Then the second marker might be 1 in 700. Then the third is 1 in 50. Then the fourth is 1 in 1,000. And the other, and you have to multiply all those out. So it still would be a huge number, like 1 in 17 million people have this, right? Even though, well, that means though that 8 more Americans are, it's like, okay, well, how many lived right here? I mean, it's just
right.
It's
How
pretty
many
wild.
had a bullet at the crime scene, and
you start
and also,
stacking it.
Yeah, and also they took things that would have his hair in it. They took like his beanie caps and different things that you get hair out of. So I think they were testing hair as well to compare, and that's why they took his water bottle. They wanted his DNA because he stormed out of that first interview on the 13th. So I bet he was doing it. He left early because he didn't want to give his DNA. So he probably took off. And then they went later and then did a search warrant and made sure to get his DNA, that water bottle. Otherwise, why would they need that water bottle?
If they have his hair, I would bet you, hair used to be where you couldn't get DNA unless you had the little bulb, the little thing at the end, But now it turns out where, new technology where you can actually get actual just DNA right from a hair. It's more expensive, but I mean, I don't think there was ever any cap on this case at all. So, I mean, it'd be amazing if they literally got his DNA, because I think the technology came after this case started.
Yeah, it's real new. My understanding is, I mean, like the last 2 years or so.
Exactly. We used it in one of the cases we through identifiers. I think it was a guy in the lake who it was pretty crazy. He was wrapped up. He weighted himself down and had a gunshot wound to his, it turned out he had a gunshot wound to his head. He was weighted down and sunk to the bottom, and he had flippers on. And so my theory was that he swam out with the flippers, shot himself in the head, but weighted himself down, and he went down. It turns out that is what happened. It sounded more nefarious prior to that, though. But they identified him because he was so decomposed through his hair. So I think that's going to be so huge, right? How many times has been hair found at a crime scene, but it didn't have the little bulb or whatever you call it at the end? Follicle.
The root or follicle. Yeah. So it could be something. It seems like there was some advances in DNA around that time. There's also phone data advances as well, where with geofencing got a little bit better. So something happened. I still think Rick Allen kind of fell into their lap somehow. Don't know how exactly.
Well, it could be, maybe a tip was sent in by, like we've speculated on, maybe a family member or somebody that knew him. Who knows? You never know the answer to that. But I mean, from the beginning, I've always thought the daughter, it was just kind of strange, the similarity in the way Libby looks, and then those photographs at the bridge, and then the one with the
tie-dye shirt.
The tie-dye shirt, and she's not showing her face. It's just kind of strange, the whole thing. So who knows what that'll be? I mean, it's kind of a weird, could be a crazy coincidence that one of the victim, it seems like Libby was kind of the focus of this to me. But I guess we don't really know until there's a trial and a theory's put out there. Don't know.
It's so I don't know either exactly what prompted them to go look at tips, and maybe it's as simple as they were just going back, detectives going back looking through old tips, but I don't know. It seems like something prompted.
Yeah. That would be crazy. Like if that's how it worked. I mean, just kind of, we were just randomly looking again, and it just stumbled upon this tip narrative. To me, it seems like somebody got his name and they found his name, and they just, for some reason, that tip never made it to the right people. Like his name came up, and I guess we'll find that out, right? That's going to be a trial. How did this name come about, etc., right? Yeah, I was just thinking. I mean, there had to have been something in the search because you notice the defense is trying to get all these things thrown out. They try to get the search thrown out with the Frank's memorandum, the warrant, because I guess that's for if, had the judge known these variables, they might not have signed off on it
Right.
because it was so exculpatory in nature, right? And so they wanted to get that whole search thrown out. But why? All it was the bullet. That should be easy, right? At trial, ejection mark, probably not really established amazing science, and maybe they could get an expert. I don't know. It just seems like they went overboard, so it must have been greater.
Yeah. There's something there, something from that search that they definitely wanted to get thrown out. And yeah, recently is Libby's cell phone. And that's because I think it has a timestamp of the video, using the metadata from the Bridge Guy video. It's going to show exactly, it gives you a baseline. It gives you a time. It orients your time and the date.
Mhm.
So if they could also show that Rick Allen was there, they need to prove that he was there during that time, then it's game over.
And it could be used too to prove that he lied, that he said that he was searching stock tickers. And if there's how would you check a stock ticker if your phone isn't connected to the internet? Right? I mean, it has to be connected. So it might show, well, there's no connection. It appears your phone was off. Why was your phone off? Why did you lie that it was on there? So.
I mean, they had so much on him. I don't think he went down there planning to confess on the 26th. I just think, yeah, you were the only guy there at this time. You're here. And he's just like, all right, yeah, it was me. I mean,
right. I wonder if they showed the picture. This is you, Richard. And he might have said, oh, yeah, that's me, but I didn't do any,
Right.
whatever. At that time, you should have known. I mean, I always think back of how amazing it would have been had just originally the Dan Doolin had said, oh, yeah. And Richard goes, I was there from 1:30 to 3:30. And he just quickly went, oh, we know you're there. We have an image of you. Yeah, here it is right here. Look. And he would have went, oh, yeah, yep. Yeah, that's me. And just say that it was off of a trail camera. And as soon as he agreed that was him, you arrest him immediately because they already knew that that's the person that had them go down the hill. But that didn't happen. So, no use crying over spilt milk, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just, or whatever.
Yeah. There's still a lot I'm curious about.
Who's Ned Smith? You know who that is? Is that one of the Odinist people? Or
no? So Ned Smith and what is the guy? Rod Abrams there. So Elvis Fields is mentally handicapped. He does have the mind of a 7 or 8 year old.
Right.
So yeah. Those guys are kind of like his friends who kind of watch over him. So when Elvis Fields went into the interview, one or both of them went with him. One of them's kind of like a father figure. I forget which one, but it is because they didn't want him to say anything. To incriminate himself because of his handicap. And with false confessions, if you look at the stats, I looked this up. People who are young will do false confessions, and also people who are mentally challenged, like Elvis Fields. So it's
that actually happened in another case. I can't remember. It was on I did a podcast with somebody, or the 3 Men in a Mystery podcast. It was the I can't remember the name of the case. Gosh. But anyways, there was a guy that confessed early on. He had nothing to do with anything. He was just kind of mentally wasn't quite there. So, I mean, Elvis Fields is the one that all the pro Richard Allen groupies,
yeah.
I mean, that they always use him as look at what he said. He said this and that. Well, yeah, but he's got the brain of a 7-year-old. Okay. That's exactly where you might get a false confession.
Right. Yeah, not from someone who's working at CVS as assistant manager and backup pharmacy person who has, a family, seemingly a lot to lose. Like, yeah, you wouldn't do a false confession there. And so I think one more point before I got to get back to my project here is,
okay.
is that if Rick Allen did confess on October 26th to ISP, that negates the whole claim of the defense, or I guess it debunks it, saying that prison caused Rick Allen to confess. Right? Because if he confessed on October 26th, now all these other documents the defense puts out saying, well, he only confessed because of prison guards. Well, no, there's no prison guards on October 26th. There was none of those things. He wasn't.
And how did he, when he confessed to his wife and his mother, how did prison guards make him confess in that situation? Right. Here's what I think. I think that if he did confess to Holman, I bet it almost feels like he did here. And I think that one and the one to his wife and mother are legit. That's what I'm gonna say. And then maybe even to one of the social workers, psychologists. But I think there might have been some later. If whatever, there's going to be a time frame that at some point where all of a sudden there's this weird stuff that he's saying, and I bet you can tie that to the moment his wife and mother told the defense team that he confessed, and then this crazy, hey, drool on your shirt, eat some paper, and all this stuff. Now go out and you gotta confess to as many people as you can and throw out stuff that isn't true, and then we can say, look, they're all just false, right?
Right.
I mean, that seems like the tactic this defense team has. They're that type.
Yeah, I get it. They don't care about the truth. They're looking for technicality instead of just playing by the rules.
Yeah. Well, a defendant might like that, but it just kind of sucks for society. You know, whatever it takes. I mean, that's kind of like Baez, you know, in the, I mean, he did whatever it took, and it worked. And if you were Casey Anthony, is that her name, Casey Anthony? You would want a guy like Baez. But do people like Baez? Like, oh man, he's a great dude. Probably not. But if you were Casey Anthony, you would want him. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, you don't give a damn about fairness and shit like that when you're the one being charged. But anyway, yeah. But hey, thank you for sending me that.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh,
all right. Well, thanks for the time. I better get back to it, and I'll
see you later.
Be in touch. All right. Thank you.
I think I'm gonna go on yours at like 5, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, we'll do it. Right. See you then.
All right.
Have a good one. Bye. Fig solves, everybody. Fig solves. Yeah, we communicate quite a bit. He's like the only other rational-minded YouTuber or anybody out there at all that I'm aware of that actually knows what the hell they're talking about and sees through the crap that the prosecution or the defense team is doing. I mean, it's unbelievable, you guys. I mean, if you go over and you see what's the weak minds, Ashley? I mean the pro Richard Allen people. Oh yeah, you got that right. Bunch of absolute whack jobs. And they always say they're not pro Richard Allen, but they're just for the fair trial aspect of it. They just want to see this be a fair trial. They don't give a shit about that. These are the same people that thought Casey Anthony was guilty. She was, but she got off. They're the same people that thought OJ was the killer, but he got off too. They're the same types, right? And they want really badly for Richard Allen to be found not guilty. Not because, it's just because that's the route that they're on. So they want it to be that way. Yeah. Librado and Scrammon agree with current defense. That concerns me. Well, those are the two backup attorneys, right? Who cares? God, don't let it. I don't know who those people are. Librado, isn't Librado and Scremin the two attorneys that were there for a short amount of time and left, or got taken back off after they put back on? Yet the first original two attorneys, Rosie and Baldwin, right? Yeah. So why does that make you nervous? Of course they're going to agree with it. You think they're going to go out and say, oh, I don't agree at all. Hey, I think, as soon as they get taken off the case, hey, do you think that Richard Allen did this? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, when I was reading through those, and by the way, if you're a client out there, my number is a number you'll never call because I just said that my ex-client was guilty. Yeah, it's stupid. Exactly how those attorneys respond, or exactly how any defense attorney would respond if they want to stay a defense attorney. And then when you ask them, hey, so do you think he's innocent? Now, you don't just say, do you say that on every case? No, I don't. Yes, you do. You say it on every case. There's no way in hell you would go out in the public and say that you thought your client was guilty. Oh, there's a bear on the loose? Wow. I mean, like from a circus or what? Or just a bear roaming around? He doesn't write any of the only letter he ever wrote was the one when he said he didn't have the funds. The rest of the letters are all written by the defense team, and he signs them. That's it. Here's the reality of the story, everybody. Here's the reality of it. I don't know why Richard Allen was there that day. I always wondered if it was like Keegan Kline had that drop box and somebody knew on there that the girls are going to be at the bridge that day and perhaps told Richard Allen about it, and there's no proof of it. So there's no evidence to support it. It's analog. Richard Allen worked at the CVS pharmacy, so a lot of people knew him. They knew him. So he goes out to the trail that day to catch his prey, and he wears like a little mask on his face, and he has a hood on and a hat on, and then a hood over that or something. He's walking down the trails, and 3 girls see him. There was actually 4 girls, but one of them is a really young, like 8 or 9 years old. And he continues to walk down, but they saw him. He admits to it. Or he misses seeing them, and they all saw him, and they have a timestamp at 1:30 or 1:26. That means as they were leaving at 1:26, it's after that Richard Allen was coming in. He claimed in October of 2022 that he got there at 12 and left at 1:30 because it originally said he got there at 1:30 and left at 3:30. And he changed that intentionally because now it puts him outside of the range. But it's a lie, a provable lie, because he said he got there at 1:30 originally, and the girls saw him around 1:30. It was probably like 1:34. Then Richard Allen walks to the bridge. And when he walks to the bridge, he says he goes out on the platform 1. Then Betsy Blair shows up at 1:46. She starts walking, but Richard Allen would have got to the bridge at about 1:44. Betsy Blair got there at 1:46 to the parking area, takes about 6 minutes. So got to the bridge probably at 1:52 or so, and sees Richard Allen standing on platform 1, exactly where he said he was standing. And Richard Allen said he was wearing exactly the same clothing. So anyways, Betsy Blair turns around and leaves. She goes right to the start of the bridge and then turns around and walks away. While she's walking away, she passes Abby and Libby, who were dropped off at 1:49 at that parking area. She passes them on the way back. And then that means Abby and Libby are next going to run into Richard Allen, who was standing on platform 1 on the bridge. The girls go out onto the bridge. Richard Allen obviously walked down the trail a little ways because you can't see him in the photographs. Because at 2:07, there's a photograph of Abby on the bridge, and you can't see her. And then I think it was like 2:05. We actually had the number. There was another photograph taken of the full length of the bridge, and you can't see Richard Allen. You can only see Abby at 2:07. Then at 2:13, the person wearing exactly the clothing that Richard Allen said he was wearing shows up at the end of the bridge at 2:13, just after Abby and Libby had passed an individual wearing exactly the same clothing at around like 2:02 at the beginning of the bridge. All right. So then Richard Allen, a few days later, an image. I don't know when he called the tip line. However, an image of the suspect on the bridge was given out 2 days after the murder. I think Richard Allen saw that picture and wanted to get ahead of the story. And even if he didn't see it, he'd want to get ahead of the story because 3 girls saw him, and he knows a 4th saw him, Betsy Blair, but he doesn't want to say that. Because if he admits that, then it places him there at a certain time. So he knew he couldn't say that at that point. He already knew he mentioned the 3 girls. So anyways, he wanted to get ahead of it. So he calls the tip line, and then Dan Doolin sent out there. He interviews Richard Allen, and he talks about how he got there from 1:30 to 3:30. And that's exactly when Dan Doolin should have said, oh, yeah, we know, we got this picture of you. That's you on the bridge right there, right? That was a trail camera. We just wanted to talk to you. But that's not how it played out. That would have solved the case in 2 weeks. It would have been done. Richard Allen then spent the next 5 or 6 years wondering why in the hell nobody's ever came back to interview him. And he wasted away in guilt. You can see him. Like, he looks totally normal in 2017. And then he looks like Gollum in 2022 when his wife shows up while he's on a video. You know, in the car, he's sitting there and she films through the car. Looks exactly the same as he does now. So anyways, Richard Allen is the guy on the bridge. Now, if you want to say that he's not the killer, that's fine. But he's definitely the one that told the girls and forced them to go down the hill. All right. He was there. Hey, thanks up there to Jim's mom and Mark Winner. All right. Yeah, Smeagol. That's right. And so that's kind of the case right there, you know. And then at the crime scene, a bullet was found that matched the ejection marks of Richard Allen's gun, because when he told the girls to go down the hill, he chambered a bullet. He cocked it. They heard it. I've known that for years. That was out there. And I was told that by somebody who there's one of the people who saw the video told a friend of theirs, you know, like a good friend of theirs, and then they told me. So it was just secondhand, but everything that was told to me turned out to be true later. There was a click sound. That's the bullet being chambered. Then I bet you at the crime scene after he killed them, he unchambered the bullet by, you know, how you rack it and it flies out, and he couldn't find it amongst all the twigs and leaves underneath. So he just left. He goes, it doesn't matter because, you know, I didn't shoot anybody. So he didn't realize, I never actually knew before this case that there were, you know, forensically, you're able to determine the gun owner on an ejected bullet. I was always thinking about the ones that were fired and the striations, etc. Right? So I didn't know that. All right. Anyways, you guys, that is going to do it for this live stream. Pretty crazy, right? It looks like, it does sound like they are referring to the interrogation with Jerry Holman, that there is likely a confession inside of that interrogation in that hour. And maybe that's exactly why he was arrested, not they were already planning on arresting him. Who knows? But pretty wild, you guys, pretty wild. So thank you to Eugenie, K. Annie T, who gifted 10 memberships. That was very kind, very kind. And Wendy Van Rokel, Miss Mulla, Phony Pin, Amy Moore, Bridget Bauman, Stay Pressed, Delulu Bitches, Delusional Bitches, Simply Me, gifted a membership, Karen Andrews, and then it was Bridget Bauman gifted a membership, Jim's Mom 2015, and looks like there's another person who there's another one. So Bridget Bauman became a member, Simply Me, and Bridget Bauman gifted a membership. So that's cool. Well, thank you guys for being here. It's awesome. Any great information going on in the Karen Smith or Heath or what the hell is her name? Karen. Why can't I remember her last name? God damn. Reed. Jesus. I just remembered. Karen Reed. Now watch it. It'll go Reed. Oh, hold on a second.
I'm fired out of it.
Read, 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 read. Here we go. Read, 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 read. Hey, thanks, Danielle. Appreciate it. For all the live today. I'm thankful for the live today. Yeah. Here we go. See, there we go. There's a couple typed it in. Thank you for at least somebody typing it in there. It wasn't the overwhelming number that I thought. That ex-girlfriend was looking for 5 minutes of fame. The ex-girlfriend. Of who? Let's see. Oh, man, just got off work. Going to part of the replay crew. All right, cool. Well, it's pretty interesting. We had Fig Solves came on here. We often chat, behind the scenes about various things. If you want to have a rational approach to the Delphi case, then, watch my videos, watch his videos, whatever. That's where you go. You don't want to watch the crazy people out there. It's an absolute joke, and they'll sell you. They're like snake oil salesmen, right? Hey, everybody, we've got a beautiful case here for you. Look this way and you'll get the Odinus. Look this way and we'll sell you that. Yeah, I mean, it's garbage. The 72 traversing an unseen wooden bridge in pursuit. He would have fallen off midway. That's right. That's right. Yes, and Suzanne Morphew, they found chemicals in her in the autopsy that are used in tranquilizers, which is exactly what. Remember how Barry Morphew had the cap of the tranquilizer dart? I mean, that's what their theory was, that it was a tranquilizer. It's amazing. I know. And so now they're going to. I bet there's going to be like another grand jury impaneled, because now that they have the body. And now this supports the theory that the prosecution had originally put out. Watch out, Barry. Watch out. I hope your kids will finally be able to see the reality here at some point. Yeah. So, anyways, hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber yet. Got to make up for those 25 or so subscribers I lost after appearing on Web Sleuths. I mean, how dare I stick up for treating family members of a missing child a little bit better when there's absolutely no evidence that they committed any crimes whatsoever. Also, there's a wacko YouTuber out there who shared a trolls, YouTube trolls cut clip of mine where I'm saying the other night, where I think it was, one of the freaks called in and said, hey, can we share this? And I go, share with who? I mean, it was our first night we're talking about it. And you know what you were saying? Yeah, you can always share my shows whenever the hell you want to. But then he was like, yeah, you can get like Joseph Scott Morgan. We're talking about the, let's see, David Clark case, right? Jonathan David Clark. We were talking about it. That was our first night talking about it. Yeah, it was Ginger. Yeah. She didn't do anything wrong or anything. She just was asking me about it. And I was like, well, share with who? What would what would we share with Joseph Scott Morgan? I mean, we don't even know the case yet. So the thing is I wanted to have time to look at it, because I don't want the crazy people to start covering that case, because they will turn it into a shit show in 5 seconds, given the fact that there are surveillance footage, and then there's this one video with audio, and that's what they do. And it's kind of a sensitive case, right? Because the people will absolutely attack the ex-wife of his immediately and cause a horrendous situation, because that's what they do. So I didn't really want to have it out there right away. But now, I was going to reach out to different people and have guests on. I might even, let like Trisha Web Sleuths, maybe I'll go on there and talk about it. I don't agree with her approach and so forth on the Sebastian Rogers case, and how she thinks of it. But that channel's good to get information out there, and anybody can cover whatever the hell they want to cover if they want to, but I don't want to. I think you know what I'm talking about. Can you imagine what would happen? Just the way it would work. Everybody's name would be plastered all over the place, and everybody would be saying this, and they'd be saying that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know how it would work. Hey, thanks, Danielle. So this guy, he put it out there as a short and cut out all the other stuff. Hey, what's wrong? You're at the hospital, right, Ginger? What's going on? You don't have to be worried about it, Ginger. I have this stuff happen all the time. This isn't really, it's nothing new. This is what the trolls do. Unfortunately, that I think it was the Ickadmel wacko. He always does the conspiracy theory shit and talks about it like it's real. He just took it and posted it without even having any thought to it at all. It was completely, cropped out of context, right? Wild, isn't it? Yep, it's just another Monday for me. Just another Monday for me. Yeah, and it's funny because all the family and everybody they were watching when the shows. They didn't even think anything of it because I explained it after that what I was saying. But they don't care. The trolls don't care. It's just whatever they can, the perception they can create. It's the same as the media. You know how it goes. Oh, how you? What's going on? You got what did you end up having, Ginger? What do you mean, what? I just explained it. Here, I'll let you hear it. Watch. I'm not going to play it because it's not my video now. Let's see, what does it say? Hold on. Where did I put that? Oh, yeah. I'll let you hear the audio of it. Hold on. There it is. Oh, yeah. This is what it sounds like. This is right at the end of the show with some people. I didn't want other YouTubers covering it. Yeah. Joseph Scott Morgan. Yeah. Like right now, it's like you just tell him about his case. He's like, what I'm saying. Wait, what was that? Was that me? Oh, hold on. I got to get the. That's my wife just starting the long journey home. But anyways, after that, I said, yeah, I'll have Joseph Scott Morgan on. Once we get this thing figured out, we could do something like that because he was supposed to come on my show. And then once we got everything, it's just this is one of those cases that you could tell would turn. You don't have to feel bad about it, Ginger. Jesus. Don't worry about it, Ginger. God, seriously, don't worry about it. I don't blame you or anything. I just was showing you that that's what happened there. I didn't know what you were referring to at the beginning, and then I figured it out. Yep, she's already heading back in a couple hours, starting the first leg of the flights, and finally. Yep. So, anyways, do you guys feel like that was really bad right there? I'm not saying, oh, I just said I don't want other YouTubers. They just steal my stuff that I do, first of all, and they never give credit. Secondly, I don't want this to, I know specifically the group of YouTubers that when they cover these kind of cases, turn them into absolute hell for everybody involved. Okay. So I don't know what else to say, but people can do whatever the hell they want. Right. I actually listened to it. I mean, if you go back and listen, we continued to talk for a while, and then I was explaining it. It was just kind of this random moment, but I tell you what, though, this is what will make me angry is if Ginger doesn't keep calling into the show, because I like listening to her and talking to her when she calls in. All right. What are you lost about, Jane? You just got to try to pay attention every once in a while. Let's see. Gray. Yeah, I didn't want to play. It's just there's no video. I just wanted. I played the audio. Does I need to have the picture on the screen for you? What do you mean there was no sound? How could there not be any sound? It's right there. There's. You guys couldn't hear the audio from that just now? It's kind of quiet, I guess. Is that what you're saying? It's definitely there. Right. But the YouTuber who shared it is the worst person because they took what trolls do all the time and didn't take the time to look at it in context. It shows you exactly what this person is. I don't put out videos on the crap that idiot puts out on his channel all the time because it's just whatever. Who cares? But he's out there without even researching or looking at the context of anything. He put it out there. Yeah. And if you like watching car chases 24/7, it's a great place. Let's see. That's who I'm. How come everybody has these little video things posted? It's weird. But everybody put some positive vibes in there for. Wait, what's going on? It looks weird. For Ginger, though. All right. Put in the free cards for Ginger. She didn't do anything wrong. Well, no, but he's not referring to you. He's saying that I told everybody they can't cover the case. Nobody said that. I just didn't want to start sharing stuff about the case until we've. What are you doing? No sound at all. You guys can't hear me right now? Hello. What are you talking about? I think that's a troll. Can you guys not hear me right now? Ah, Jesus. I don't know what's going on here. What do you mean you hear me now? You should have heard me the whole time. What do you mean you hear me now? Yeah, it keeps adjusting my volume. How about if I move it like that? That's louder for sure, right? Ding, 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 ding. We can hear you, but not the audio you were playing. Oh, you couldn't hear the audio I was playing? That doesn't make any sense. You can't hear this? Oh. That's weird. So you can't hear. You could hear that interview earlier, right? Let me check some settings in here. Did it get changed? No. Let me test this. Hold on. Huh. Weird. How about that? Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, let's play it again. Here we go. Listen. I don't know. I don't know why you can't hear it. But earlier you could hear that interview, right? When I was doing that news report. Could you hear this one? Let me see. Can you hear this? Can you hear that?
From the Salida area nearly 4 years ago now on Mother's Day. 11 News reporter Melissa Henry has been tracked.
Really? You can't hear that? That's crazy. How about earlier? Could you hear that earlier in the show when you could hear that? What do you mean now I hear it? What do you mean? Now what? Wait, you can hear this now? Okay, listen.
This case
You
closely.
guys must be way behind. I think that's what's causing us problems.
She joins us now live in studio. Melissa, a lot of reaction coming in from this right now. You have been looking in.
All right, you can hear that? Okay. Now let's see if you can hear this.
I just wanted to know if it's okay to share the story out.
Share the story with who?
With some people.
Well, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't want other YouTubers doing it yet.
I don't watch any other YouTubers. I'm
Yeah.
talking like with maybe John Scott Morgan.
You're fine, Ginger. Come on. Well, why would you want to tell him? I mean, what's he doing? Like she's saying, I want to just go tell him.
Well, he knows some other people as well, and I possibly.
Yeah. Well, let me just do what I'm doing for a
would-
while, and then we'll try to work it out. I want to have every piece of information first before they start jumping. Because what happens is they always take. I'll be working something, and then these other people, and they go, oh yeah, and they start getting everything, so that makes it tough. That makes it tough. All right, and then after that, I said, yeah, but Joseph Scott Morgan might be. He wants
I
to.
just wanted to know if it's okay.
Right. See, then after that, I said, well, Joseph Scott Morgan wants to come on my show. And or he said he would come on my show. So maybe when he comes on, we can talk about it. Yeah. That's so weird that you couldn't hear it before because I didn't really change anything. I don't think. Weird. No idea, everybody. No idea. But I know one thing that StreamYards really actively tries to. I think I need to turn off its ability to keep affecting, because even right now my voice is lower, but I have to always keep. Let me show you guys this. It looks like this. See, here's the audio for your computer, and then look at how right there the input is way down. Now if I put it up here, now you guys can hear me really well again, blah 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 blah. And then the system audio is right here. So that's up high, that's up to 100%, but this is my mic. So all of a sudden it'll switch it down to like that. And it's like, hey, everybody, hey, you can barely hear me. Yeah, so you have to keep adjusting it, but there's a place where you can say you don't want other programs to be able to control the levels. What's not as sharp? What are you referring to? All right, now I got to go check. Hold on. Yeah, got that. Alright, so not that. Let me see. Let me look in here. Settings. Audio. Oh, well, that says. The mic volume. How about that? Does that sound better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Didn't use the oh. Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. How about that? Is that clear? Who are you guys talking about, Wild Mountain Time? Oh, yeah, Joseph Scott Moore. Yeah, he's a nice person. Yeah. All right, so the audio is good now. Let me play that same video again. Can you hear it?
I just wanted to know if it's okay to share the story out.
Share the story with who?
With some people.
Well, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. Can you hear that?
I don't want other YouTubers.
Okay, so you can hear it. All right. Joseph Scott Morgan he's usually he's an expert that goes on to various places. He has a podcast too. He's this guy right here. I think you've seen him. You know, he's on television a lot. This guy. He's been on Court TV with me twice. That we were on at the same time. And he's even had nice things to say. Like he said stuff like, I agree with Gray. That was cool, right? I mean, yeah, he's an expert, a forensic expert, I think. Right. That's right, Ginger Keys. So that was good advice. I was just wondering at that time we just started covering the case. I didn't know how he's good at when you present him with the factual information in the case, and then he can go, oh yeah, and then he thinks through it. I like that. Yeah, I'm still here because I was about to end. So anyways, thanks everybody who was here supporting the channel. I think there's a couple at the end there. Danny, ICURN, Danielle, a couple times, and Mark Winner. All right. So anyways, we'll see you this evening. All right. So thanks for being here. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4.